Hey, what's up everybody? Today we're going to be changing out the air filters in this 2010 Toyota RAV4. Now that includes the engine air filter and the cabin air filter. You should probably change your air filters every other oil change. However, depending on your driving conditions, for example, if you drive it around in the sand or in dusty conditions, then you may want to change it out a little bit more often than that. So generally speaking, a combustion engine requires a mixture of air and fuel in order to run correctly, and it's vital to have free-flowing air going to your engine and also clean air running through your cabin. And the process of replacing these filters is so simple that anybody can do it. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, here's a look at our engine bay. And this right here is our air intake. This is our air box here. So the filter is going to live inside of this box here. And it's held together by two clamps, one right there and one right there. So simply just got to unlatch these clamps and then we'll have access to our air filter. You'll be able to open up this air box here, and then that reveals the filter right there. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that out right now. Alright, so that's what the air filter looks like. Looks to be pretty dirty. If I flip it over, see I got some like leaves and stuff in there. A bunch of dirt and leaves. This should probably be changed out. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that there. Also, taking a look inside of this air box, you can see it's got some leaves and stuff in there, so I'm gonna take a vacuum and vacuum all that stuff out right now. I do want to point out one thing that happened to me during my last air filter change, and it was when I opened up this box, this hose here became loose, and I wasn't aware of it. Once I replaced the air filter, put it back in the box, turned on my engine, I got a lot of warning lights on my dashboard, and I wasn't sure exactly what was happening. The engine was sputtering, it was a really rough idle, and at some point driving down the street, my engine died. And I was a little concerned, so I pulled over and I opened up the hood, took a look at all of the things I just did, and noticed that this hose was unhooked. And basically what happened was it was pulled out of this opening here. And also watching other people's YouTube videos on changing this air filter, I noticed that whenever they lifted this up, this hose came undone as well. And this seems to be a common thing because it happened to me and it happened to others as well that I've seen. So just be aware, keep an eye out on this hose specifically when you lift this up and or when you put it back. So you can already tell there's a little bit of a gap already forming when I lift this up. So I'm gonna keep an eye out on that, and then whenever I replace the air filter, I'm gonna double check to see that this hose is in fact back in its place. Okay, for the engine air filter, I'm using Toyota part number 17801-YZZ06. I'm going to go ahead and open that up, and this is what it looks like. So here's just a quick look at the old filter on the left and then the new filter on the right. Alright, so it's going to go back into place. You can see already that hose has come undone. There it is right there. It's already out of this tube. So all it took was for me to lift this up a little bit and the hose came undone. So this could be easy to overlook. In my opinion, it's a bad design on Toyota's part, but please keep an eye out on this hose. So the design of this air filter and air box doesn't leave a lot of room for forgiveness. And basically, there's these hinges that need to be in place, right there and right there. If you don't get them in the right place, then the box won't close because the fit of the filter is so tight on the edges. You need to get the placement exactly right. Now that the air filter is in there, I've got my clamps snapped shut. The most important thing here is this hose, because once the air makes its way through the filter and through the hose here, it needs to make its way to the engine, which would be through this hose. And without this hose, the engine won't get the proper mixture of air. So let's go ahead and insert this tube back in there. And you want to make sure it gets a good seal. I'm really surprised at how easily that came apart, and it's really easy to miss. Alright, so now it's back in. If you do this change and you get a bunch of, if you get a rough idle, your engine dies, you get a bunch of warning lights on the dash, then check that hose. Alright, next up is our cabin air filter, and we're going to be using part number 87139-YZZ20. And we're going to go ahead inside on the passenger side of the car and show you where the air filter lives there. Okay, so the cabin air filter lives behind the glove box, and basically what you got to do is open up the glove box and undo this hook over here on the right side. There's a loop that fits inside of this little tab, and squeeze the sides. The glove box will come out, and right here there's a little door that comes out, held together by these two tabs, and inside sits the old air filter. Got our new air filter. You want to look and see that it says up, and from there you just kind of insert it into the little slot there and put the door back on. That's it. That's as easy as it gets. Now we're going to put the glove box back together. It sits on these two hinges in the back. This tab and the other tab just kind of get squeezed and put back together. Now this little hook gets hooked back onto here. Now keep in mind, if this piston is retracted and it's a little shorter, all you got to do is pull on it, pull on the piston to extend it, and now you have enough reach to bring it back, and then there you have it. And the point of that piston is just to make sure that the glove box opens up dampened. If you didn't have this hooked in, the glove box would simply fall open, right? So let's bring that piston back down by giving it a pull. Now you've got enough reach, and now that's a dampened opening. So that's it. Alright, and that is how you change both air filters on a 2010 Toyota RAV4. Now the process should be very similar in other cars, but this should give you a general idea of how to change the air filter in the engine bay and in the cabin. I guess the most important part about this was the hose coming loose from the airbox to the engine. This seems to be a very common thing, and if you don't know what to look for, then you might tear your hair out trying to figure out why your car's check engine light is on. So I hope that was helpful for everybody. If you found this video helpful, please give me a like and a subscribe. So until the next time, I will catch you guys on the next video.